say good morning to those of you listening to Classic Radio 105.5, 105.9 on the FM dial. Let me see also our viewers this morning via GBN TV, whatever channel you have chosen to view us this morning. Good morning to you. Also, those of you via social media platforms, good morning. Facebook page, YouTube channels, GBN's webpage. Good morning and welcome. It's to the point. It's Friday. It's the 21st day of February. And I certainly wish everyone a great day today. And certainly happy that you will stick around with us for the entire hour. Let me say good morning to my guests on the program this morning. We have Miss Daisy Hazzard, still public relations officer still,
yes,
until the
next president.
Of course. Sure. Good morning to you, Miss Hazzard. How are you this morning?
Good morning, GT, and good morning to your audience, Grenada, Carriacou, Petite Martinique, wherever you are. Good morning, especially to the members of the Public Workers Union of Grenada. Good morning to those officers down there at the budget unit who's working so feverishly to prepare and present Grenada's next budget for 2025. Good morning. I'm Daisy Hazzard, PRO of the Public Workers Union, and presently, as Grenada knows and as our members knows, we have elections coming up on March 12th,
yes,
and I am finally contesting the role to become the next president of the PWU.
All right. Well, I didn't get that in my opening segment. I should have said Happy New Year, Happy Independence, everything. I should have gotten all of that in.
But, it's wonderful to be here with you, GT.
And it's always a pleasure to have you. As you mentioned, of course, the elections are coming up.
Yeah.
And the campaign is on. How's things going thus far?
We prefer not to use the word campaign. We would use the word canvassing. So obviously, all of the persons who have put themselves up to be nominated, to be voted in, are out there and should be out there, going to the various workplaces and canvassing workers. And the reports are pretty nice. Workers love to see members of the union come around. Of course, they're going to say to you, why do I only see you at election time? Where were you before? But just before we go ahead, there is a list of names contesting various positions.
Yes, I was going to ask you in relation to the team that will be part of the team, of course, so tell us a wee bit in relation to that.
I would say it this way. For every position, there's more than one person contesting that position.
Yes.
And that shows that our union is alive and well, and that our membership has keen interest and dedicated interest in the union and in the growth and development of the union. And so I want to commend every single person who has come forward to serve as a leader and as a person projecting to be the next leader of the PW. I have ensured that I went out there and found members, and convinced them to be nominated for roles. Because if I cannot convince somebody to stand forward to be nominated, what kind of a leader would I be?
Exactly.
But there are other persons who obviously on nominations day, we would have seen and heard their names. So I just want to pull up the list here and give a big shout out to every member of the PWU who is contesting these present elections. In the post of president, Sister Daisy Hazzard, that's me, yours truly, Brother Fimber Thomas, and in the first vice president position, Dr. Godwin Coy, Brother Lyndon Foray. Brother Lyndon Foray is out there at Nawassa. Dr. Coy is presently our first vice president. He has served one term. He has done a tremendous job with the union. He has grown a lot.
Yes.
Because union business is not something that you can wake up last night and decide that you can get involved in tomorrow actively. Because it's an organization. It runs and functions on the principles of organizational behavior strengths. But you must have some knowledge, intimate knowledge of the union organization itself. And so Dr. Coy has taken the time, he's a medical doctor of many years, but he's taken the time in the last 2 years to serve on the executive in the role of first vice president, and he has decided to run again. In the position of second vice president, we have Nurse Nikisa St. Bernard. The public and members would be very, very aware and knowledgeable about Sister St. Bernard because she is also an advocate for nurses, and she's a strong and powerful voice who is unafraid to come out here and stand up and be counted to represent the interest of all workers of Grenada, but in particular a sector of workers that our country cannot do without, and that's the healthcare sector. Of course, we cannot do it without any of our workers. I just mentioned the budget team. Yeah. We have Sister Tishana Smart. I do not personally know her, but I've been told that she's pounding the ground. When I go to workplaces, persons are asking me, is she on your team? And I say to them, there's one team.
Yes.
Persons may go out with persons that they know. They may ask someone, I'm going to St. Andrews, I'm going to this workplace, will you come along with me? But I see someone calling me. I'm on air, so you cannot call me, please. Thank you. And so hats off to Sister Tishana Smart. We have Sister Paula Phillip in the role of treasurer. Members, I do not need to tell you about Sister Paula Phillip. Her reputation, her integrity, her record of service in the PWU, it's out there. It deserves it. She should have been awarded at our independence celebrations this year. And she's also a May Day warrior. We have Sister Karen Penny, and I think it's not the first time that she's contesting this post. Incidentally, I passed her on the stairs of the Union Hall on nomination day, and I said, hi, I'm Sister Daisy. Are you here to be nominated? And she said yes, and said, I'm pleased to meet you. And I'm looking forward if the members select you to work together with you, because I know I'm going to become the next president of the PWU. Right. We have Sister Tasha Gilbert. She's running in the position of secretary, a very critical role. She's been in the union. She's a baby of the union, and she knows the union intimately. She knows the business of the union. Sister Melinda Smith, also for secretary, shout out to you. And assistant secretaries, Sister Janelle Palmer, Sister Hermione Elcock, and Sister Gloria Fortune. Sister Fortune out there in Carriacou, you've been holding the reins for the union since Beryl. God bless your work. And members, the final person, I'm forgetting the position of PRO.
Yes.
And members and the public, I had to search far and wide to find someone to contest that position. And I was determined that I would not vacate the role of PRO and not find someone who's going to be willing to stand for members. And a very proud and brave sister stepped forward, Sister Latoya Joseph. I was able to convince her to run. And she's a member who's been serving. She served one term, and again, she's learned the union. And she understands that the role of PRO is a role that puts you somewhat in the public face and puts you in a position where you feel a tight squeeze, but she's willing to do that. We also have Sister Wendy Chateau. I met Sister Wendy Chateau out there. She's at Nawassa. I met her a couple of days ago when I was canvassing for workers to vote for me, and I've wished her all the best, as with Sister Hermione Elcock, whom I've met yesterday as well. Gave them a big hug and said, I wish you all the best. And that's the team for 2025 for PWU elections.
Well, I want to say best wishes to all the members of the team.
Yes.
Who wish everyone success. Well, everyone cannot win, most likely, but your decision to put yourself up for president this time around what was the main reason behind that?
GT, I want to say also, Brother Brian Grimes down there at the Union Hall, thank you for your endorsement of me. Thank you for the years that I've been able to serve alongside you. We're very different in temperament. We're very different in terms of even our orientation and where we're coming from, our experiences of life. But it's been a pleasure serving with Brother Brian Grimes. We have been able to serve in a spirit of unity, cohesion, and a lot of harmony. But even when I put myself up to run for a PRO 6 years ago, at that time I could have put myself up to run for president. Yes. And there were members who were calling on me to do that. But I'm not presumptuous. In as much as I am very confident in terms of my acumen, my knowledge, my skills, what I can bring to the union, there is no way I was just going to get up overnight and decide I want to be union president. I wanted that period to learn, to grow within the fold, and to understand intimately the business of the union. In the last cycle, when Brother Grimes ran for the second time, members were saying to me, Sister Daisy, it's your turn, run. Run against Brother Brian Grimes. And I was not willing to do that because I felt that the brother had tried in his first term and that he deserved an opportunity to serve again in the second term for some continuity. But this time, even if Brother Grimes had decided to continue to run, we would have had to shake hands at the Union Hall, and we were going to go out there to contest the position of president. But he has had a long journey in the union. He has decided to step aside, and it is time. I believe I have what it takes to head one of the most powerful institutions in our country, one of the most critical institutions in our country, who safeguards and looks after the business of the members of the PWU and the workers within the public service. But also, we look after the social well-being of this country, the economic well-being of this country, the peace and harmony in this country. We are a vanguard of that. And I believe that this is the time. I'm going out there canvassing workers, and they're saying to me, Sister Daisy, now is your time. And we're very proud of you for taking that step to represent us as your president.
All right, great. Now, I'm reading from your slogan, of course, that you put out there. That speaks of a whole lot about the commitment that you want to put out there for workers. And been hearing of you for the longest time. Of course, time to time I've had you on the program as a public relations officer. You always seem to have that strong advocacy for workers and making sure that whatever workers will achieve is always for the best for them and Grenada as a whole and workers in general. Now you get into the hem of wanting to become the president, which is a much, when I say, or we say in local terms, a bigger job. We would say in local terms to say that. Now, you going for that particular position. Do you feel you have the ability to do so? If I could ask you in that particular.
GT, I would ask you to answer that question. In fact, one would have thought you would have said it affirmatively.
Yes.
Absolutely. And I stand on a reputation for service. I do not stand to be served, but to serve. Many people believe that leadership is about being served. Leadership is not about being served. It's about serving.
Yes.
And my members can tell you, and the staff, the permanent staff at the union building can tell you, if there is a chair to be moved, Sister Daisy is going to be there in that process. When I stand and I take the mic at the union hall, I know how that mic was placed there. Anything that has to be done, I'm in my running boots, getting it done. I was speaking to some workers this week, and I was in my high heels, and I said to them, typically, this is not how I would dress, because I have to be in shoes that can run. There's always a call somewhere from a workplace. And so I'm a worker. And I'm a worker who works smart and skillfully. I bring all of my considerable talents, experience, and qualifications to the role of president. I'm a natural born leader, but I'm also a trained leader. So I'm bringing that level of value, a high component of value to the role of president of the PWU. Right. And I'm running, as I've said, on a track of an incomparable choice for leader. There's no comparison. And a reputation of excellence in service. I just want to give a little anecdote. I visited some workers in a nursing facility this week, and we were speaking to them, and the faces were, very non-committal. And it's a workplace that I interface with a lot. But they were very non-committal when we started speaking. And when we were finished, the head person looked at me and said, you have my vote, and you did not even need to come here today. And I want to tell everybody here assembled that there was a problem with my staff not getting paid on time for over 7 years, for many years. And I called Sister Daisy Hazzard one day. She was out of this country getting medical services done. And she said that to me, but she also said to me, Sister, I'm going to work on this problem. I'm sending you some numbers of some persons to call. I'm going to message them to let them know that they should expect you calling and give me feedback. I called her, and she said, when I called, every person that I contacted said to me, yes, Sister Daisy has said to me, expect you. Long story short, she said to her workers, as you all know, the problem was solved. We are all getting paid on time. And that's a woman I can stand with, because her word is her bond. Workers know, members know, my word is my bond. If I tell you I'm going to do it, I'm going to get it done. I don't promise miracles. I don't promise to fix every problem. But once I say I'm going to look after something, I do it, and I get back to the workers with feedback, and I leave no stone unturned. And I'll tell you something else, GT. People in this country come to me with problems, non-unionized workers, unionized workers, and once somebody comes to me and say, I have a problem, I help them. It doesn't matter whether they're a member of the PWU or not, because that is the confidence and the faith that Grenadian people have found in me, and I don't want to let down and disappoint anybody. Yes, right. That's me for leadership.
You also mentioned, of course, you've been endorsed totally by, of course, current president, of course, Brian Grimes,
and the outgoing executive.
What difference do you bring to the table in comparison?
We're different.
Yes.
So I bring the difference in terms of who I am. Because I bring everything that I am into the role of president. Everybody brings who they are. I'm a passionate person. I'm a committed person. I'm a loving person. I will walk into a workplace and say to a worker, hello, how are you doing? And in a minute I'll say, sis, is everything okay? Are you all right? Because I'm in tune with people. I can feel their pulse and feel their balance. I care. I care about the members that I serve. I care about the members who might be considered to be the lowest among us because you're cleaning up the floors. But my mother taught me, care for the people who clean up after you. And I care for the doctor who can suture my wound. I care for the accountant general. I care for all lawyers who work in the Division of Legal Affairs. So I bring a level of compassion and care to the role of president, maybe from a female point of view, from a nurturing point of view. I bring, I'm very astute in my dealings with people. I'm a skilled negotiator. I'm also experienced, not just because of the PWU, but I've been negotiating for the PWU for the last several years. But I'm a trained negotiator, and I've been negotiating before that. So I bring all of these skills and talents to the plate right now, and members have said to me, we expect a different type of leadership from you. We want a greater uptick in leadership from you than we've seen from Brother Brian Grimes, and they know that I can bring that to the organization.
All right, of course, I hope you don't mind me saying, Sister Daisy, we do for a break. Let's take it, and when we come back, we of course continue the conversation. Stay with us, folks, on the Point Classic Radio, GBN TV. We will be right back. Look.
Right Choice Promotions in association with Investment Migration Agency of Grenada, together with our Riser Credit Union, presents the inaugural Virgin Parish Relay Meet. This is the real Mini Olympics, Saturday, March 8th, Lassages Playing Field in St. David. Relay action featuring the top clubs and schools from across Grenada, competing for cash prizes and more. Come see the nation's best athletes as they prepare for Intercall and Carifta Games 2025. First call to action is at 2 o'clock in the afternoon, featuring live entertainment and excitement in the tug-of-war competition. Admission $10 adults, $5 children. Come to Virgin Parish, St. David on Saturday, March 8th for the Virgin Parish Relay Meet. Come share in the excitement and speed and see you there.
Grenada National Folk Group, in collaboration with the Ministry of Tourism, Creative Economy and Culture, proudly presents Iconic Moves and Melodies.
Yes, man!
Iconic Moves and Melodies. A heartfelt tribute to the legendary Miss Shirley Robinson. Mark your calendar. Saturday, March 1st, 2025 at the Grenada Trade Center, starting at 5 p.m. Immerse yourself in an evening of vibrant folk songs, classical songs, Negro spirituals, patriotic songs, captivating poetry, and mesmerizing dance performances as we honor Miss Shirley Robinson, a true pioneer of Grenada's cultural heritage. You'll also get the chance to have a meet and greet with Miss Shirley Robinson. Tickets are just $50 for adults and $25 for children. Iconic Moves and Melodies, a celebration you don't want to miss. Join us Saturday, March 1st at the Grenada Trade Center. Let's honor the legacy, celebrate the culture, and make it a night to remember.
The ultimate relay showdown is back. Get ready for speed, power, and heart-pounding action as the IMA National Relay Meet takes over the Kirani James National Stadium on Saturday, February 22nd from 3 p.m. The fastest teams, the fiercest competition, and non-stop edge-of-your-seat excitement. Who will dominate the track? Who will claim the glory? Only one way to find out. Be there. Tickets, finish line A, $50. Finish line B, $40. Main stand C, $30. Secondary stand, $20. Bleachers, $15. Children 12 and under pay $15 for the main stand C, secondary stand, and bleachers. Get your tickets now and experience the thrill of champions. The IMA National Relay Meet. Feel the speed. Witness the greatness.
Welcome back to our listeners. Welcome back, viewers. It's To The Point, Classic Radio, GBN TV. Welcome back, of course, Sister Daisy. I think that's a new way I'm going to refer to you from now on. I'll do that.
Thank you,
Hope
GT.
you don't mind. You mentioned when you, of course, in the previous segment that you've been going around canvassing to the various different departments, speaking to workers and so forth. How has that feedback been thus far for you? I know putting yourself up for president of the union, and so being one of the biggest union here in Grenada, it's a big job. As I mentioned before, how has that feedback been? Are you getting that the momentum that's encouraging you to want to continue this and go forward?
I smile, GT, because I'm not a bashful person. But members, you have been bringing me literally to tears. You've been making me smile. You've been putting me off balance because I go to workplaces. The response is tremendous.
Yeah.
Members are saying, Sister Daisy, finally.
Yeah.
Finally, I'm so happy. I'm so glad that you've stepped forward. And I'm getting a lot of feedback in terms of what members would like to see, the trajectory that they'd like to see the union go on to. And so the response is tremendous. It's overwhelming. And members are saying to me, Sister Daisy, I'm going to be praying for you. You can count on me. When you get into the union hall as president, you have my full support in my area of competence or skill, whatever I can do to support the work. Call on me. And that response has been so tremendous. And it's very, very humbling because when people repose that kind of confidence in you, it causes you to think and to go deeper into yourself, because in no way, shape, or form would you want that kind of a confidence and faith to be demonstrated, and then you're not able to deliver. And so the response, the feedback is tremendous. I met some members who are very, very concerned. There's a lot of flack. There's a lot of dust bunnies and furies and flurries being blown about around the union's elections. And I say to members, do not be dismayed and don't be too overly concerned. We have to be concerned, but let us stay focused. That's my word for members today. Let us stay focused, because when a union, an institution such as the PWU, which was formed in 1931 as a Civil Service Association of Grenada, so we're almost 100 years old. When a union such as this is choosing its president, the person who will be the figurehead, who will represent it, every single sector in our society takes interest. And there are forces in this country who would not like to see me sit at the helm of the PWU because of my competence. There are forces in this country who would not like to see me sit at the helm of the PWU, not because I am not fit, but because they are so afraid of how fit, how ready, and how much of a leader that I am. And I want to say to members, my role as president, my role in the union is always to represent and to put my members first. I'm undeterred, I'm not dissuaded, I'm not perturbed, or I'm unperturbed. And I'm asking you members as well, don't be too alarmed, because historical reports, anecdotal reports will tell you that every PWU union election causes that sort of a conversation and energy in our society. I'm expecting to see the newspaper headlines about the controversial Daisy.
Yeah.
I've seen a lot out there about me. I saw someone say, y'all don't know her. And I said to that person, tell me about her, because I'm here. Tell me about her, because I'd like to know. So I'm saying to workers, let us keep the focus. Let us not be distracted. There are things that's being said and done around and in the name of our union that is just about distraction. And it's about trying to persuade you not to put a leader in the union hall who will mind your business. I approved over 2 administrations from different political parties that my focus and my representation of workers is unbiased and is uncompromised. And I'm not willing to say something different here today to get votes from anybody. My representation of workers is unbiased and it's uncompromised, and it will remain that way. So I'm not promising you that I'm going to lick anybody's boots. What I can promise you is a sophisticated, professional level of committed and dedicated representation, so that all of us in the long run can benefit, can be better, that the weaker among us, the most vulnerable among us, and even the strong among us can feel represented and feel the presence of the union. One of the things that I have purposed in my mind to do as president of the PWU is to directly engage with our senior leaders, our PSs, our senior managers within the public sector, because they also are members of our union and they pay union dues. And when we have to go to them about grievances, if I have to go to a PS or a supervisor about a grievance that any worker has, there's a balancing role, because both persons are due-paying members of the PWU. And at the end of the day, you want a resolution where there is harmony in the workplace, where the supervisor does not feel belittled or humiliated, or the worker does not feel, well, yes, I've won against her, or the manager does not feel, yes, I can go away and continue harming that worker. And so my first step would be to engage. And a lot of senior managers and PSs, God bless you, have said to me, good job, Sister Daisy. We are looking forward to guiding you, to assisting you, and to giving you that support that you will need as president, because it's not an easy job to be president of the PWU. Yeah.
My next question will go along the direction of workers in general. You know, there's always a lot that workers want, especially from the union. The direction you're going to be taking, you spoke of one previously where you said you will be, of course, having that conversation, especially with the various, individuals at the various departments. What more would you like to do for workers that you may say, well, under my tenureship, if I should become the president of the union, what more would I like to do for workers? What would I like to see the elevation of workers be like?
Outreach. We have a beautiful and big building called the PWU headquarters on Port Highway. But we have members flung around every corner, every crevice, every place you can think about in Grenada. We have public workers members there. And so under my presidency, outreach is going to be a key focus. Now, a union is based on its collective strength. We have thousands of members, over 4,000 plus. And there is no way I can sit here today as president, as the intending president of the PWU and say to every worker, I'm going to fix every problem that you have. That's impossible. And I don't tell a lie. There is no way I can say to every worker that every single problem that you have is going to be fixed. Union problems are never done. You fix a situation in one place today where there's probably mold, or a building is sick. The financial complex is sick. There are presently still workers there. I went into the budget office a couple of days ago and I emerged with a sore throat, which is still evident today. And I had to say to our colleagues there, God bless you and thank you for sitting here and working for Grenada, but you're going to be my first stop as president, because I thought that all of our workers at Finance had moved out to that place in Grandlands that our country has been leasing for over a year for members of the finance department. And so I come back to the point that a union is based on its collective strength. And in general, you try to find benefits that can reach and touch everybody in some way, some shape, some form. But there's real grievances. And for many years, workers would report, look, I've come to the union hall, I presented a matter. I met a worker who told me that they've been acting for 11 years and they're a substantive employee, established, hired by the PSC. And how is that person somewhere not working properly but assigned 11 years? I met a young lady who is not a member of the PW, but she's a data entry clerk for 8 years, since 2013 in government service. She's an Imani. She doesn't pay me a due, but her business concerns me because she works alongside my workers. And one day she may become a member of my union. And so the focus would be on ensuring that where workers have grievances, which is my track record, and it comes to the union, no worker must say, I have come to the union, I've reported a problem, and the union has not looked after it. Under my watch, it will not happen. Yes.
All right. Now, Folks would say, there's always more we want from unions. There's always more. I don't think there's a worker, especially between the GW that the GPW that, may not ask for more. How do you plan to of course, address those burning issues, especially when it comes to workers as a whole, especially within the confine of your union? Yeah. How do you plan on really addressing those?
Great question. How do I plan on addressing the cry for more? We're man. We're human flesh, and we're always seeking to articulate higher and to actualize at a higher level. So there's never a point at which we are totally satisfied, because when better is done, we believe that best can be done. Yeah. And that's why we're able to grow, and that's why we're able to move, because we are always striving for the pinnacle of excellence. Our union provides a lot of social benefits to our members. Let me give you a case in point. After Hurricane Beryl, the PWU was among the first persons to bring relief to the sister Isle of Carriacou and Petit-Martinique in the person of Dr. Brother Coy, our first vice president. Sister Paula and myself, the treasurer, we went down to the union hall the day following while Grenada was still closed. Most places were closed. And we were able to mobilize resources and pack relief bags and send them to Carriacou. Our union spent in excess of $20,000. I repeat the figure. Our union, which does not sell any good or service, we run only on the little dues that our members pay. And we have full-time staff and we have bills like everybody else. But we were able to mobilize efforts to Carriacou and Petit-Martinique in the sum of $20,000. We have scholarship programs for children of members. We have scholarship programs where we pay for persons when they want to study at CUNY University. That scholarship is available every year for members who qualify. And so there are so many social programs that we offer. We know that when persons become sick in Grenada, often you have to travel abroad. And so from time to time, members are going to come to us. They have, they're ill. Recently, there's someone who has a son who's sick, a member, and we made an anonymous donation to that member because we didn't want to publicize it. Of course, at our AGM, members would know that that donation was made. And so my purpose would be to try to find ways to create greater levels of social safety nets that can be offered to members. We're not a charity. If the union try to become a charity, we're going to bust. We're going to have to close our doors. And so prudent financial management is always necessary. But the board does that, and we have dedicated full-time staff at the union who also look after our financial affairs to ensure that we can manage things. But we definitely have to see how we can bring more benefits. Yes, I'm speaking to workers who are saying to me, I just want money. I want percentages increases. I can't go to the supermarket. I get distressed when I go there. And you meet other members who say to you, I just want fringe benefits because I believe they bring more to me. And members who would tell you, I don't want to pay union dues. I don't like paying union dues. Nobody wants money to come out of their pocket. But we all know and believe that the union as a force is for a greater good, and it's for the greater cause, and if you do not have the protection of a union as a worker, as an employee, you're standing in the rain without an umbrella. And so we meet that conversation out there, and you're always going to have that conversation. But the purpose of the union and the membership is to find creative ways, to find innovative ways to bring more benefits to members.
Folks will always, members of your union and other unions here in Grenada, always have the perception of, I wish my union will do more for me.
Yes.
I wish my union would do more for me. And they always develop that negative perception, especially when they come to the executive part. I don't feel they're doing anything for me. You spoke about not wanting to pay the dues. And if you had to convince members out there right now this morning that what you becoming the new president, you understand, when the election comes around and you become the new veteran, that what are you offering them is a way of to motivate themselves to be better off in this country as being a union member. How could you convince someone to offer that?
First of all, I would say to members, get involved.
Yeah.
I always say to members, it's one of my watchwords. You pay for a big, beautiful building on Port Highway, inhabit it. Because every month we pay a mortgage for a building. So I always say to members, get involved. You see, I can provide the leadership, and I can encourage and motivate and galvanize workers to become involved. But a union is strong because its members are strong and stand together. And I'll tell you something. Our members are not stupid people. They're not silly. today. They're highly educated and experienced people. And I'll quote the words of a young, energetic, and vibrant sister I met yesterday. She said, Sister Daisy, I don't have time to come down there. I don't really bother. I know there's a union, and I'm happy for that. And I go about my day-to-day business because I know there's a union at my back. I don't like having to pay union dues. I don't like having to pay NIS. I don't like to see deductions coming out of my salary, but I know that I must pay for my union dues. So I don't think that there is any need to convince workers about their union dues. Workers are convinced. That's why we have membership. You will always have the murmurs. You can't get away from that. There are persons in my household who pay, they belong to other unions, TAU, the GUT, and every year, or when they get a pay slip, you would see them murmuring, I pay too much money, and I pay less. I earn more, but historically, I've paid less at the GUT because our largest contribution from any member was $25. At the last AGM 2024, the AGM took a unanimous decision to increase and to change the structure and the way in which the union members pay its contributions to the union, because our last structural change in our dues was 30 years ago or more. But the union lives in Grenada, as workers understand, and we pay the same taxes, pay the same bills, we pay utilities. NAWASA, water went up recently. NAWASA changed their fee structure recently. We buy toilet paper. We have to pay our staff. They get bonuses and emoluments, and there's a pension plan for them because the union is a responsible employer. And so there's no need to convince workers that the union needs its dues. Workers know the union needs its dues. Workers are alarmed at the prospect of someone saying, we can run the union with reduced dues, or we can run the union with no dues. What does that say to our workers then? Are we going to have to go every Saturday and say we have a bake sale or a fish cake sale to pay our staff or to be able to bring benefits to members? No. So our members are smart, they are educated, they are wise. And so there's no convincing them. What the union always have to ensure is that when there are changes that our members are communicated to effectively, that by and large every single person knows that there is some change and that they can anticipate it and prepare for it. And so maybe in some areas, that is another area that as president I'll have to ensure we do better at. Right. And that's what members have asked me to do.
All right.
Yes.
I mean, since you're going to the direction, I was not ready to go that direction yet, but let's just fill that little gap there. Mm-hmm. Well, you mentioned that the dues that workers are paying now was something that came about for the last 30 years.
Yes.
30 years of their paying. What is the actual percentage that you of course, members are paying now for dues?
So as of January 2021, and as I referred to the AGM 2024, where members took a unanimous decision, the AGM is our highest decision-making body according to our Constitution.
Yes.
So there's no other authority, there's no other person, there's no other thing that manages our union except our Constitution. And at our AGM 2024, with a proper quorum, following the protocols and dictates of our Constitution, members took a unanimous decision, not the executive, not Brother Brian Grimes or Sister Daisy Hazzard. Members took a unanimous decision to change our due structure and to increase it. And we are still paying less than most persons pay for union representation in Grenada, because our due structure is now at 1%. Yes. There are other union institutions who charge 1.5%. We do not. We are asking our members for 1%. There are other union institutions where when workers get a bonus, if there's money is outstanding that you have not had increases for years, and you're getting that lump sum, the union gets a percentage of it. Our union still does not do that. So we've been operating for decades, and it seems as if executives have not had the moral fortitude or the courage to be able to say to our members, this is our books. Our books are open to our members. Our records are rigorously audited every year by PKF. And so we've had the courage and the temerity and the strength to say to our members, look at our books. And members have said, our institution, such an important and critical institution in our country, we have to ensure that the doors are not shut, that we can continue to have union, we can continue to be represented. But I want to take Grenada. I want to take your question out of Grenada. I want to go to the United States of America. And we're seeing an unprecedented time in the history of a modern civilization. We're seeing something that has never happened in the world and that we did not expect to happen in a superpower such as the United States, where thousands, we're hearing about 20,000 federal workers being forced to leave their jobs, being fired summarily. And what we're seeing is that who's standing with these workers are the unions.
Yeah.
So these workers would have been paying a union for decades and have never had to have a union go to court and represent them in that manner. But it's happening now. I'll also say to members and to the public, let's take the example of Silicon Valley. When Silicon Valley emerged, that techie place where every person was coming out of Stanford or some university with their IT degrees and so, they didn't need unions. They were being paid top dollars and being given superb benefits. But today, we have seen that these workers are unionizing themselves. They are forming worker unions because over time they understand that the employer is never for the employee. The employee is always about his profit margin. Let us take Amazon, ALU, the Amazon Labor Union. That was formed in 2021 or 22 by Chris Smalls, an Amazon worker, who mobilized and galvanized Amazon workers to form themselves up into a union, because that great big giant company that sends all of our packages overnight and we all shop on Amazon, they were not treating their workers right. And when Chris Smalls tried to organize the laborers at Amazon into a union, he was met with fierce resistance and opposition by the employer. And so that is the message to workers. That is why unions are important and unions are necessary. So we can sit comfortably today and say, my union, they take too much of my dues. But we are the umbrella against your rainy day and for your sunshine days as well.
Do you think workers in Grenada understands the real purpose of union?
There is a lot of education to be done. I pull up at the gas station and someone says to me, Miss, you're a lady in the union. I could buy your union T-shirt. I could come to your meetings. I want to belong to a union. And then you have the worker who is unionized who say, I can't be bothered, the union don't bring me enough benefits. And so it's always a balancing act in satisfying the needs. But I believe that as Grenadian people, we understand the role and the vital purpose of our unions in our country. There is no question about that. In 2022, when the pension judgment was won in Grenada, the historic Glasgow judgment, it wasn't because of the work of any other group in the society, but the unions, our blood, our sweat, our tears. And so workers in Grenada know that we require unions. And what you have is that people who are not unionized clamor and ask, how can I be unionized? In fact, one of the records of this executive that I've served with is that for the first time in over 30 years, we have added new workplaces, places that were formerly unrepresented by any union whatsoever. We have added 4. Is it 4 or 5, Brother Grimes, or someone from the executive can correct me? We've added workplaces to our union because, again, workers who are non-unionized in Grenada wants to become unionized. So have no fear. And we as a people in Grenada, we are a people in Grenada who are we lead thought in the OECS. We lead thought in the CARICOM. We are thought leaders. We punch above our weight, and we bring to the table in the region a collective kind of a strength that many of our other compatriots do not see, because we are Grenadians and we understand and we know. Even the revolution enshrined many rights for labor in Grenada, because even the revolution who acted outside of our constitution understood, recognized, and valued the role of labor in Grenada.
We due for a break, but I want to get this out because before we move on to the next segment.
And when we come back, I want to talk about
yes,
my
we're going to talk about it when we come back after the break. How have we gotten to the stage that we're at now in terms of the union dues and so forth that we hear in a conversation from Brother Grimes and so forth? How have we gotten to that stage?
You want to delve there now?
In a brief way, if you
can.
Right.
So it is unfortunate. It's unprecedented. I've been speaking to many people, older people, and they're saying, but not even Gary tried it. And so we believe that there was some error in the Cabinet Office writing to our union and asking for things that they do not have jurisdiction to ask for. We believe that there was an error. We understood properly that the Office of the Accountant General properly did the deductions and prepared it to be sent off to the unions. But government is owing us our money. And not only our money from January 2025, but our money from December 2024. And the conversations have been had because even when we come to the media, we continue the dialogue and we continue the conversation around the table. We've written properly. This is a letter here to Honorable Dennis Cornwall. Yes. He's the Minister for Finance. He, of course, the Accountant General's office is under his portfolio. We've copied it to Honorable Prime Minister Deacon Mitchell. We have also ensured that even as Prime Minister Deacon Mitchell is out there at heads of government, that there are other institutions and arms of labor, regional institutions, the Caribbean Congress of Labor, they're represented at the heads of government. The head of TAU, Brother Andre Lewis, he's also at heads of government. And we've ensured that the Prime Minister has understood that there's a critical matter that needs his attention so that industrial peace can be resolved and be maintained in Grenada. Because there is no way that a government should withhold the dues of a union. And it's a dangerous precedent to set. And this is why once we became aware that it happened, we came immediately to the public. Because there is no way we could hide this under the blanket. It's a dangerous precedent. It cannot be allowed to happen. And so we expect that matter will be resolved perhaps by today, if not by today, as early as Monday.
Okay, great. We do for the break. Let's take it. We'll be right back. Stay with us, folks. Let's to the point.
Served Grenada for decades. We are the #1 and
a festival of long-distance running with some very familiar charms. How about Run Barbados? When it comes to entertainment, this iconic couple really puts on a show. Caribbean Passport TV brings the region closer together. Exciting destinations, healthier meals. Be viewing this station. So have your passport ready and let's travel.
One stage, 4 categories, 80 incredible dance talents. Experience the rhythms of the world as dancers bring culture to life with breathtaking performances. Who will take away the crown? Witness the passion, the energy, the artistry. Don't miss the ultimate global dance competition around the world in 80 dance talents. Call 407-8458 to register your group or solo act. Follow at GBN for updates.
I try to not speak about climate change anymore because change kind of gives you the impression that it's gradual. You know, when you hear change, you think it's something happening gradually. But we're in the middle of a climate crisis, a full-blown climate crisis. So yes, the climate has changed, and I think it's a little deceptive for us to continue referring to climate change because it probably gives people a false sense of security that we have time to deal with this. So what can we do about it? And 2 years ago, the United Nations said that the right to a healthy and clean and sustainable environment is a human right. So if the right to a healthy, clean, and sustainable environment is a human right, and there are countries and companies that are imperiling that right to a healthy, clean, and sustainable environment, then they are infringing on our human rights. So that's where climate justice comes in.
Be viewing Caribbean Medical TV on this station.
Welcome back, listeners. Welcome back, viewers. Once again, it's to the point here on Classic Radio GBN TV. Inside the final segment of today's program. With us this morning, we have Ms. Daisy Hazzard with us this morning. And the lines are open, 435-2041. If you do have a question or two you would like to ask. Of course, you did mention you want to speak about your T-shirt, but let's entertain a caller or two first.
Absolutely.
And then we go
I'd love
to that.
To hear from the public.
Of course, let's go to the phone line. Caller, you're live. Good morning.
Indeed. Good morning, Mr. Telesford. Greetings and greetings to you guys. Quite eloquent is this young woman. I love to hear her talk. You know, as long as a politician, I can see you, although I'm blind, I can see you being a politician within the next couple of years in this here country, and that's good. But I want to touch on this matter. The unions in this here country have duties towards their members and so on to struggle for them to enhance their quality of work, of quality of life, enhance and guarantee that they work in safe conditions, etc., etc. I'm happy all about that. We know that. But there's something I want to, Ms. Hazzard, I would like to know what your intentions are now as you canvassing for a position in the new administration of your union, the Public Workers Union, to correct the deficiency, serious deficiencies in the offerings of services of the public officers towards the public, the people of this here country. Only last weekend, a newspaper article in one of the most prominent newspapers in this here country spelled out a great deal of them, of which I, as a person with a disability, from time to time have obligated to use the telephone to make calls to get certain things sorted out, and I have so much problem. People do not respond. They don't even answer the telephone 9 o'clock in the morning, 3 o'clock, they're gone already. You know of the deficiencies. What efforts do you propose to put in place or to make towards correcting this inefficiency to the public from the public officers, or should I say some public officers of this country? Thank you very much. Have a nice day, will you?
Thank you, caller. Thank you so much. Respond to the caller.
Thank you, Mr. Telesford, for your question.
That was Mr. Rollo.
Mr. Rollo, sorry. Thank you, Citizen Rollo. God bless you. Thank you for your question. And thank you, as usual, for your encouragement. And it brings me to a point of one of the focus of my presidency when I become president. Productivity. If a worker is productive, if a worker gives what they have to give, it means that worker is a more satisfied worker. The employer is more satisfied. And it means that as a union, when I go to represent them, I can have more confidence. And so while productivity is a function of the employer, is a function of administration, and is not the core business of the union, it is important for the union to ensure that members know that we require them to be productive, to be professional at all times, and to give this service that as public officers, not employees, because the Constitution of Grenada does not speak of any employee in the public sector, but of public officers, where you have an oath to give service to your country. And in particular, customer service is not a problem that is unique to the public service. It's a cultural problem. You go into businesses, you go into workplaces, you spend your money, you're paying the cashier, they don't look at you, they don't say thank you. And we see, and sometimes I say, good morning, thank you, because I want them to respond to me, because they should have said that to me first. I called a business place last week, a public office last week to do some business. And I'd gone in there to do some business. I'm having mosquitoes at home. And I called back and I said, I've not had some feedback, I've not had some response. And the reception was cold. And I thought to myself, that officer should have said to me, thank you for calling back. We're sorry that we've not gotten to you as yet, and we'll come to you soon. And so those little graces, the little soft skills, the nuances, and I would say to my members, this is what I practice. This is what I practice as a public servant when I'm dealing with the public. I smile for everybody. I treat everybody with respect and with value. How can I help you? How can I serve you? Even if I know perhaps I may not be able to, and I have to pass them on to another officer. So productivity, customer service, professionalism in the service. I'm a very sophisticated and proud woman. And I want my members to feel that way as well. Be sophisticated in your work. Be professional in your work. Give service proudly so that the public can speak proudly of you. Thank you, Citizen Rollo.
Caller, you're live. Good morning.
Good morning, Jay, and good morning to your guest, Miss Daisy Hazzard. Now, listen, I listened to you a little while back, and you seem to be a powerful woman. So there are people out there that say that women should not be leading. Women can lead. So what advice would you give to people that say that? And what advice would you give to young women out there to get themselves in position where they can grow and be leaders in the future? Have a nice day.
Thank you, caller.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, brother. And thank you for empowering women. Your comment has just empowered me. I've been saying to young women, I'm meeting young women across the service who say, well, yes, I have a bachelor's degree, but I'm not established, and I don't know, I've been here 16 years, and I feel hopeless. And I feel that I cannot make a change. And I want to say to young women, be the change that you want to be. Stand up and count for something. Don't just sit in a corner and say, well, this is the condition I've met. That's the society I've met. I've come into a workplace that does not give me an established position. And I'm asking, have you written? Have you written to any supervisor, any manager, to the Public Service Commission, to the DPA, Ms. Hilaire, to say, I'm here, I'm working, and I deserve to be made permanent? And they said to me, well, no, I've talked to this one, I've spoken. And I said, no, I'm not asking you who you've spoken to. What concrete thing have you done, physical, tangible thing, to ensure that someone knows you're here? This is what you can bring to the table. That's the service you can give. That's the skills you're giving to government. And so you deserve to be regularized or to receive something, a job letter. There are persons with no job letter letters, nothing, no instrument of appointment in the service, and they're sitting there. And so I'm willing to provide that leadership. I'm willing to say to our young women, arise and build your nation. Gen Xers, don't sit there and cause us baby boomers to have to do all the work, because the future of this country depends on women. And to answer the question about can women lead, women have led Grenada. Women have led this Caribbean. Our mothers, my grandmother, your mother, has taken the little bit that husbands or boyfriends or men bring home, or taken the little bit that they've received from their menial jobs, working as maids, as cooks, as cleaners, and they have raised generations of Grenadians who have gone on to universities and gone on to head institutions in our country and around the world. And so, yes, my brother, women can lead. Grenadian women have demonstrated, as long as there has been a Grenada, that we lead. Even on our executive, we have the token men. You go into workplaces and you see the token men. So women, understand the strength, understand the value that you bring to the table. Don't become apathetic. Don't become hopeless. Arise and let us build a nation together.
All right, we do have another caller. Caller, you're live, and I beg of you to be brief for time purposes. Caller, you're live. Can fire WhatsApp. Go right ahead, please.
Good morning, Mr. Hazzard.
Good morning.
I want to say you did a great job at the Independence. Okay, Mr. Hazzard, I know you're running for president. If you were to become the president, all right, how different your platform going to be from Brian Grimes, saying that you appear all the time as a PR with him, you know? So when we look at you, we would not see that the same Brian Grimes in a different foot. Thank you.
Thank you, caller.
Thank you, caller. And that is a question that workers have asked me. And I'm saying to you, I'm a different creature. I have a different temperament. My priorities are different. My vision for this union, where I'm purposed that it should go, how I intend to represent my members, is diametrically opposed and different to that of Brother Brian Grimes. I have served in humility with him. I've allowed myself to walk behind him and to serve to support his presidency, but we are very, very different in the way that we present. And my leadership will be very different to Brother Brian Grimes. The core work of union does not change. Negotiating for salaries, dealing with grievances. But one of the things, as I said before, my first outreach will be to senior managers and PSCs. There is an administration in office. That's the employer. The NDC administration is presently in office. That's the employer. And so, do we need to be able to sit always at the table with them? Do I need to be able to pick up the phone and call a minister of government, to call the prime minister, to call the CABSEC to say, hello, there's a problem that we want to resolve, and we need to do it before it becomes uneasy and creates friction. So I believe, and the purpose of labor and unions is to engage in social dialogue, in civil discourse, to solve problems. Of course, we cannot do it by ourselves. The employer also, the administration also has to have that purpose and not just speak it, but act it, walk it. And so my presidency, I can tell you, morning one, I'll be going up to the complex and I'll be knocking on doors. President of the Grenada Public Workers Union here, Daisy Hazzard, I'm here, I'm serving my members. I have to work along with you as the employer. Let us talk.
All right. Let's take another caller. Caller, you're live. Good morning.
Yeah, morning, GT, morning to listeners, and morning to viewers, and morning to Ms. Hazzard. Ms. Hazzard, I want to wish you all the best and success in your election. In terms of there's a few items, one of it about customer service and so on. I want to ask in terms of the education process, because it's all over. I mean, as you said, I mean, it seems to be a function of society or a function of the lack of, I don't even know what to use in terms of, something seems to be lacking in terms of how we the civility. There's even absence of civility in other instances. Also, in terms of the social partners, there was a social partner arrangement, a committee, committee of social partners during the IMF program, which had come together, the unions, the private sector, the government, civil society, I think the church also, and we had a social compact that was established. Unfortunately, the government at the time was not honest, so they violated. The civil society did not sign it, but it is believed, certainly I do, that is a blueprint that could help to create social harmony, social and economic harmony in Grenada. My organization, Friends of the Earth, has been calling on the authority to reinvigorate that. And I think I raised that with you already, Ms. Hazzard. Would that be something that you'll be willing to see if we can get that going? Because in this time of uncertainty and the kind of world we have, we need everybody working together in Grenada. Thank you very much.
Thank you, caller. Appreciate your call.
Thank you, caller, for your comments. Thank you. And thank you for your confidence in me. It brings me to a point that I needed to get to. Yesterday, we had an engagement. My union had an engagement with members, representatives of civil society grouping. And it was very, very heartening to receive that outreach and to be able to sit with them and discuss the issue that we were having about the non-payment of our dues, because it reminded us that we are not alone in the fight for a just and equitable Grenada, and that every citizen and every group has a role to play. It is unfortunate that for the last going on 3 years, we are not hearing from our NGOs in our country. We are not hearing from voices that we used to hear from before, which keeps our country honest and which keeps the people that we put in office to govern our affairs honest and balanced. And so if those groups are not functioning, the question is, why not? Where are you? What has happened to your voices? What has happened to your advocacy on behalf of the Grenada that we love so dearly? And I want to make this little analogy. If you see a nice ripe mango on the tree and you pick it, a nice, big, nice yellow mango on the tree and you pick it and you bring it inside, and you don't plan to eat it right away, you have to do things to ensure that it doesn't rot. And so we're in a situation in our country where we have seen administrative change that I think all of us wanted to see in Grenada for the functioning of our democracy. But we must safeguard the mango. We must look after it. We cannot decide to just leave the mango there and say, that's a good mango, it's a wonderful mango, it's going to remain forever a nice mango that we can eat, but we are not looking after that mango. And I want to encourage all of us Grenadians, as the gentleman just said, we're seeing trends in the globe that's disturbing. Union cannot safeguard social and economic peace and justice alone. Social partners, civil partners, wherever you are, whatever has happened to your voices, arise and let us look after Grenada.
All right. We may be able to just take our final caller and then we get some closing remarks. Caller, you're live, and I beg of you to be brief,
Hello,
please. Go
good
right
morning.
ahead. Go right ahead, please. And be brief, please, caller.
I just want to speak to the union lady, please. I just want
caller,
to
you are live. You are live on air. Go right ahead, please.
I want to find out about the minimum wage, which the government said like all minimum wage workers supposed to get, like caretakers, $1,200 a month. And up to now, I was a caretaker and I haven't get nothing as yet. So I want to know that if we are supposed to get it. I just want to.
Okay, caller, thank you. Let's see. I hope it's along the directions you want to go this one.
Yes, well, it's a worker. Caller. It's a labor, and she has a question. What I would advise government to do on this thing is post that thing everywhere. When you walk into places, you go to a nail salon, you go to a supermarket, you see the regulations for minimum wage and how workers should be treated and paid posted. You go into Canada, the US, England, you see those things. In Grenada, you do not see it. And what has happened with the lifting of the minimum wage? It has created some chaos. Some employers have done it. Many others have not done it. But yes, caller, if you're a minimum wage earner, you're entitled to an increase, as government has decreed.
Okay. Besides that, of course, you wanted to talk to me about a new T-shirt.
Well, I'm wearing...
I thought you would have brought me one.
I'm demonstrating this morning our new T-shirts. Members, we are encouraging you to come down there to the Union Hall to try them on. Yeah. This is a size large. Usually I'm a medium, but the Chinese factory has provided it to us, and they've come a little small. So we're encouraging members to come down, try them on. Let's see how they fit. We need to see how various members of different sizes feel with them. We have a black one. We have a green one that will complement the traditional white one that we have. Okay. And this is the first time again that the PWU has changed its T-shirt. It's been months of work. We've been working on this since last year. Hats off to Cecilia Toya, who's running for PRO. She's done this work on behalf of the union. Okay. So this is a T-shirt.
All right.
Yes.
Looks good. All right. Anything in closing before we take a wrap this morning?
In closing, I just want to say to members, to workers, to public servants, you play a great role, a critical role in this beautiful country. Understand your value, know your worth, and you have told me that you do. And thank you for reposing in me the confidence to become the next president of the Grenada Public Workers Union. Stay focused. God bless everyone.
All right. Ms. Hazzard, I want to thank you once again for being on the program this morning. Always, of course, an impressive conversation with you. And best wishes goes out to you. And certainly hope as the campaign goes on, you said don't call it a campaign, but as the campaign goes on.
We're canvassing.
We canvassing. As it goes on, of course, I hope, of course, all the candidates, of course, who are part to get to be the position that they hopefully want to be, and everybody will be happy with the final results.
Thank you, Glenn.
And best wishes goes out to you.
Thank you, Glenn. It's always a pleasure to be here.
All right. Hey, folks, that's we're going to take a wrap for this edition of To The Point. Join me again on Monday of next week when we'll have another edition. That's what we say goodbye for now. Goodbye, folks.